Hey, it's Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. I promised an update on how things are going with our case. As you know, the judge in Marquette agreed with us, and he said that the declaratory ruling was definitely unconstitutional. Fifth Amendment is what he quoted. So he was in total agreement with us, and he threw it out. So we're very happy about that. Of course, Bill Schuette, our Attorney General, has directed that it be appealed, but at the same time, the DNR says that they're going to rescind the declaratory ruling. So that doesn't really make any sense. All they're going to do is, instead of take their lumps and press on, they're going to extend this, and hopefully in the appeals process, they will hopefully run us out of money. That's a long process. Doesn't matter. The case was won. The Americans won, and that's what matters. We have a motion before Judge Fagerman for reconsideration. Our case was dismissed because supposedly there was no conflict, but the hostility of these people towards us is over the top now that they've lost, and we would like to go to court, and we would like some questions answered about some of these people who are in positions of leadership. Okay, let's talk about leadership. Early on in the struggle, I said these people need to be replaced. They're just people in offices and they need to be replaced. Our system of government is really very good. Our Constitution is a very dynamic document. It's extremely well written. It's extremely usable by the citizens. All right, look at the example that is before you. Here, I'm a guy that served my country for 20 years. I lost people, young men. I don't know any young women that died, but young men who died protecting and defending the Constitution of the United States. Then, fast forward to the end of my career, I'm out 10 years and I'm farming with my family, and then the Constitution protected me. All right, so I have a very unique perspective on this, but I can tell you that Constitution is worth laying your life down for. I believe that with every ounce of life that I have in my body. All right, and that's the truth. Look at this example. However, if you don't pull that sword of the Constitution, you don't pull that out, it's not going to do you any good. Likewise, if you don't defend that Constitution, it'll go away. Here's an example. When this first started, we had the declaratory ruling in hand. We had the Constitution in the other hand. We looked at the Fifth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment says that my life, my liberty, and my property, my pursuit of happiness, property, is protected under due process of law. The declaratory ruling was not due process of law. It was just a group of people down in Lansing working for the DNR. Some of them work for other industrial ag outfits that decided this would be a good idea. And then they said, for the environment, we've got to protect the environment. And so most people that don't think very much just go, yeah, okay, for the environment, that's good. Yeah, for the children, whatever. But in reality, there were no feral swine. There was no problem. But they were, with the declaratory ruling, they were going to take my property. And then when I said no, they threatened to take my liberty. They were going to arrest me and put me in a cage, right? But I looked at it and I said, they don't have the authority to do it, because if they did, they would have. Why would they even wait like one day? Why wouldn't they just come and arrest me, kill my animals, and be done with it? Because they didn't have the authority. So I pressed that button and I said, come on, let's go. And of course, threats, intimidation, all that stuff. But they really had nothing, all right? It's sad that it went as far as it did. Many thousands of dollars were spent. The state spent many more thousands of dollars because they do things right. And when this first began, we went to our county sheriff. Now, I think people need to start to realize the authority that the county sheriff has, and we do. So we went to the county sheriff with the declaratory ruling in one hand, Constitution in the other, and tried to give it to him, say, hey, these just don't jive. He wouldn't even take it from my hand. And about the only thing he really had to tell me before I left his office was, don't get in a gunfight with those guys. Yeah, like I go around getting in gunfights with people. But he refused to stand in the gap between me and the DNR. He could have very easily, very, very easily. He doesn't have to arm wrestle him. He doesn't have to, have a weightlifting competition with him. Nothing like that. All he has to do is say, I'm sorry, no, this is a violation of the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, and I'm not going to allow you to do it. And the state would have said, all right, nice try. We tried it, but we got a county sheriff that's standing in our way. As it is right now, we didn't have one county sheriff in the whole state that actually stood up and said no. Not one. Not one. And they had the authority to do it. So what do? Now that we've won the case, do we just press on with life and allow these people to stay in place in these positions of authority? I say no, absolutely not. So what are we going to do? This is the way the process works. There's what you can do for a county sheriff is what's called a recall. Now, the county sheriff actually has more authority in the county than the governor has in the state. The county sheriff has more authority in the county than the president would have in the county. And that might sound kind of strange to you, but that's reality of it. His job, the oath that he takes, is to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, as pertains to the people who elected him. So, the county sheriff does not work for the governor. The governor can talk to him all day long. The county sheriff doesn't have to respond to that. The county sheriff works for the people who elected him. So, in our case, our county sheriff is derelict in his duties. All right, his duty was to protect and defend the Constitution. He refused to do that, because he apparently is beholden to the Department of Natural Resources for whatever reason. We'll find out. That's why we want to go back to court, but refused to do his duty. So that is dereliction of duty. That's a bad thing. When you take an oath to protect and defend, and then you have a citizen come to you and say, hey, I need help, and you say, sorry, don't get in a gunfight with him. That's dereliction of duty. And there are some other issues too, but that's the big one. So the recall process works like this. We have 12,000 people in the county. The way the numbers play out is we need 1,300 signatures to initiate a recall election. This is very similar to an impeachment. However, we're going to the people who elected him and say, what do you think about this? If you sign this petition, you're agreeing that there needs to be another election. We need 1,300 signatures. We're going to go for 15. I've hired a pollstering company to do this. It has to be done by pros because every I has to be crossed and every T dotted. So it's going to cost us $3 per signature. So we're looking at about somewhere around $5,000 that we need. I'm tapped out. So I need people in the county here to step forward and make this happen. That's the first step. And there are a lot of people in this county that think that that should happen. When the recall election happens, it will probably be in November, this coming November, we're going to need to put someone on the ballot to run against this guy. He may just say, no, I don't want to run. I heard he's going to retire anyway, but if he does go back on the ballot, we have to have someone else to put on the ballot. Now, I am going to put my money where my mouth is. I am a guardian of the Constitution of the United States, probably more fervently than I ever have been, because I've put it to the test and it served me very well. So I will step into that position gladly. I really don't want to do it. I have a career field that I'm working in right now. I have goals, but without the Constitution, we have nothing. And I believe that if we had one constitutional sheriff in one of 83 counties in the state of Michigan, we would see that love of liberty flourish. I think we would see it spread. I think other county sheriffs would step up and say, yeah, I can do that too. and other people in other counties could say we want a constitutional man, period. You know. So I need your help with that. I need the money. You can contact me via the website, whatever, however you want to do it. People in the county, you can look me up in the phone book, call me, catch me in town, whatever. I need $5,000 to initiate that. The first part of it is I have to give a $500 deposit. So I need that. If it doesn't go any further than that, then I figure you don't really want to live in a constitutional republic. So I'll just keep my mouth shut, maybe. No, I won't. Then the next thing is we're going to have to, when we initiate this, we have 3 months to get 1,300 signatures, but we're going to go overkill. We're going to go for 15. And then the election happens. I will step into the position, as I've said. What I would really like is if somebody more qualified than me would come along with a good law enforcement background and has gone through this and say, I will do it, and move to the county. I don't know if we have anybody in the county, but possibly we do. And that would be even better. All right, I'm definitely going to need an undersheriff, and that's someone that definitely needs to have law enforcement background. So that's what I need. That's what we're going to do. We can't wipe them all out with one stroke. We have to take them down one at a time. Our Attorney General's bad news, real bad news. I mean, he's supposed to be the #1 proponent of the Constitution, and he not only violated my 5th Amendment, he violated my 8th, my 1st. Unbelievable, just unbelievable. And this guy calls himself a constitutionalist. But we'll get him as we can. That's my message for today. It's Mark from Baker's Green Acres. Remember, anyone can farm, but we can't farm if we don't protect our Constitution. So let's do that. Thanks.